All right, well, the Hispanic vote is up for grabs in 2024. A recent Fox News poll shows President Biden only leads former President Trump among Hispanic voters by just 9 points. While in 2020, Biden took the voting bloc by 28 points. This, as many working-class Latinos express increasing dissatisfaction with Democrats' economic and social policies. So is the voting bloc shifting right? Let's bring in our Hispanic voter panel, Reverend Ruben Diaz Sr., and he is the president of the New York Hispanic Clergy organization and a former lifelong Democrat. He served in government as a state senator, correct? And also on city council. And Sergio Rodriguez is a Republican from New Jersey. He is a business owner and the host of the Sergio Rodriguez Show. I'm going to start with you, Sergio. How much, so by the way, of all demographics, the most dissatisfied segment of the United States population are Hispanics with Joe Biden. So how much of that is about the economy, and what are Hispanics upset about?
I think it's all about the economy. If you really look at it, the toughest thing for Hispanics to do right now is to plan. They cannot plan their children's education because of how expensive it's gotten recently. They cannot plan to buy a home. I mean, we know how the rates have gone in the last 3 years. And to be fair, you can't even plan the 21 meals of a week. Because people are skipping meals because financially, since Biden's been president of the United States, Hispanics are suffering economically.
It's hitting the working class really hard. It's hitting small business owners, which, as you know, Hispanics make up the greatest percentage of small business owners as well, percentage-wise. So let's go to you, Ruben. He's talking about the economy. We know it's hurting people at the kitchen table, but there are some really serious social issues that are at odds with the Democrat Party that it seems like over the last few years have really been laid to bear, right? Really basic stuff like what's a woman, what's a man, etc.
I am the president of the New York Hispanic Clergy organization. We are an organization composed of 150 Hispanic ministers. So the evangelical community is very, very upset with the way that the Democratic Party has been treating us and treating the community and treating the nation. How
do they feel that they're being treated?
Our children have been indoctrinated in school. I mean, the conservatives have been being persecuted. Our teaching, our belief have been put down because now they want women and men and children.
And is what's happening in this feeling of persecution for their values and the way they feel about these issues, is that going to be enough for these Democrats to vote for a Republican in the next election?
I believe so. I believe that especially the evangelical community is moving. It's very disgusting. And now with the way they're treating the immigrant, the open borders, Donald Trump have closed the border. Now it's a mess. It's a chaos. They're abusing children.
And they're part of the problem.
So we are very, very disappointed, very, very angry, and I think that we are moving. We're moving, and if the Democrats don't do something, next year will be that death sentence.
I think it's going to be hard for them to reverse their position on so many of these social issues. Do I have a few more minutes on this, or are we wrapping? Okay, I have enough for one more question. Sergio, maybe we can do it quickly. How much does what we see happening to the justice system? You know, so many Hispanics move because of rule of law and the idea of equal justice, and we're seeing some very things that we used to see in Latin America happening here. We just saw the mugshot of Donald Trump come out yesterday.
Yeah, and look, I think the fact that you could even fathom that this would happen to a former president and that they would just almost use him as a pawn in what they're trying to do is just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to our country. I mean, I still, as a 48-year-old man, cannot believe that I have spent my life in this country and that this is where we're at right now.
Criminalizing the opposition, going after them politically in ways that we saw in Latin America so often. Thoughts?
Well, this is becoming a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So we are even afraid to speak. Yeah. And they trying to shut them us up. And we are tired, and I, as a minister, I am as a former New York State Senator, and a former New York City Council member. If election were held today, I'm willing to campaign for the Republican Party.
Fascinating conversation. These things are not shocking to Hispanics in many ways. They're familiar, and they scare us. So thank you for joining us. What a great conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.